Welcome to the News on Zodiac. You're with me, Robert Kalua. Let's have a look at the headlines this hour. Health authorities admit that Malawi is still underperforming in the fight against malaria. Vice President Michael Usi says political interference to blame for inefficiencies at the Immigration Department. Agriculture research think tank says youth participation in agriculture has declined by at least 7% in the country over the past 2 decades. And Chief Justice warns electricity infrastructure vandalism that the court will show no leniency to them once they are found guilty. We've got these and many more. Please to stick around. We start with news that health authorities have admitted that Malawi is still underperforming in the fight against malaria, a disease that affected 6 million people and claimed over 1,600 lives in 2023 alone. The line minister, Kumbidze Kandori Chiponda, was speaking in Lilongwe during a Ministry of Health organized Africa Malaria Vaccine Peer Learning Workshop, where she said Malawi is definitely not making strides, hence a need to retrace the interventions. We have more in this report by Western Good.
Speaking at the event, which has attracted delegates from 8 African countries, Minister of Health Kumbidze Kandori Chiponda says the number one children killer disease should be dealt with at all costs, especially after all the efforts put in to eliminate it. Chiponda says that 2063 is 40 years away, but fears that there might not be anyone to fulfill the dream and lead the country and also implement programs if children continue to die like this. She adds that it must be everyone's responsibility to protect women and children while not only looking at malaria as a disease, but also at its impact on livelihoods.
In terms of availability of vaccines, we are doing pretty well in terms of all the routine vaccines which we give to our children. The most important thing you have to understand is that when we give a vaccine, it means most of the conditions which one can get sick, or if our children can get sick, might not have an actual treatment. So the only way to prevent our children from dying is giving the vaccine. So we have readily available all the vaccines, and this one, malaria, we have added it as one of the routine vaccines, so it should be available to our children.
Resident Representative Dr. Neema Kimambo agrees that the vaccine should be an additional intervention, but communities need to be engaged in behavioral change on best practices to eliminate the disease.
Globally, we have around 290 million cases of malaria, and of those around 608,000 deaths were recorded. This is from the last global malaria report. And the African region, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, carries the highest burden of malaria. About 95% of the global malaria burden is in sub-Saharan Africa. Therefore, it's very important for Africa to make strides, for the globe to make strides in malaria control.
2019, Malawi piloted malaria vaccine in 11 districts in children aged between 17 months and 5 years, alongside other interventions like spraying of and usage of insecticide-treated nets. I'm Western Guta in Lilongwe.
Vice President Dr. Michael Usi blamed political interference with the operations of the Immigration Department for the efficiency at the department. Usi says while some politicians are fueling corruption at the department, other politicians are influencing promotions. A development, he says, is greatly demotivating immigration staff. We have a report by Elijah Pombo.
Vice President Dr. Michael Usi says he wants the Immigration Department to be free from political interference. Usi has, however, noted that the Immigration Department still has some systematic logistical challenges, which he says the Ministry of Homeland Security and the Ministry of Information and Digitalization are jointly working on. The Vice President has also disclosed that the government will soon decentralize the operations of the Immigration Department to district councils in the country in a bid to deal with the congestion challenges at the department.
But in a nutshell, I would say they are going through very critical challenges which government must pay attention to, because many times we just blame immigration of all the issues of corruption that we have had. We have talked about them as well, but there are many more issues which really must be dealt with. We have also discussed the system that they are using here.
Homeland Security Principal Secretary Dr. Stephen Kayuni says the ministry is working tirelessly to deal with the passport issuing hurdles.
I can say that we'll bring it up to speed. There are so many processes that are running behind the scenes. There are procurement processes that are at an advanced stage. We are in touch with all the stakeholders, including PPDA. We can say that the shortest of time is what we're working on, the earliest of time. In a couple of months, a month or 2 months or so, we should be able to get on top of it.
Since government terminated the contract with its initial passport software provider, Technobrain, the passport issuing services have been greatly interrupted in the country.
The country's agriculture research think tank, Mwapata Institute, says youth participation in agriculture has declined by at least 7% in the country over the past 2 decades. A report issued today titled Prospects and Barriers to Youth Engagement in Agriculture and Food Systems in Malawi indicates that in 2010, youth participation in agriculture was at 83%, but now the numbers have gone down to 76% by 2024. John Pokayuni has. We'll bring you that report in our next bulletin. Moving on, Youth Voice Society has engaged lawyers to help 18 families displaced to pave way for construction of Mbelwa University in Mzimba seek justice as they claim their compensation did not follow proper procedures as stipulated in the Last Acquisition Act and the Constitution. One of the lawyers, Victor Gondwe from John Tainson Law Firm, has told Zodiac today that they already wrote the Attorney General on their intentions to sue government if it does not pay the compensation to families as required by the Land Acquisition Act. Vanan Nyirenda has more.
According to one of the lawyers engaged by Youth Voice Society on the matter, Victor Gondwe of John Tennyson Law Firm, there are complaints that the Land Acquisition Act was not adhered to during the payment of compensation to 18 families evicted to pave way for the construction of Mbelwa University in Mzimba. Gondwe said they have sought financial support from Southern Africa Litigation Center to commence legal proceedings against the government, though in the interim they will be offering their services pro bono so that the families are properly compensated. He said they already sent a notice to the Attorney General on their intentions to sue government on the matter, where the families claim proper procedures were not followed when compensating them.
We wrote the office of the Attorney General, giving them 3 months notice of our intention to sue government. That was in January. We should have had a response by end of April. As we speak now, we don't have a formal response from the office of the Attorney General. I will still follow up with the office of the Attorney General within the week, if at all there's any response. But even if they don't respond, that does not mean the matter ends there. We'll still proceed with the process, because the notice that was given after the expiry of which was supposed to commence court action has now lapsed.
Mese Mhoni of Chisusu Nyelenda village, one of those evicted from her land, says the 250,000 kwacha she received as compensation does not tally with the large piece of land and some fruit trees that were taken from her.
Tikufuna kuti boma litipase malo olima, komanso litipase mazi. Nanga tikuvutika pano pati matunga kwa tali kwambiri. Timavutika kwambiri ndi mazi, koma si mazi otetezeka, amakhala ndi zinyalala. So ineyo ndaoneka kuti ndapereka malo awiri, ena amanga university, ena ndatenga anthu aja kuwapasa malo anga. Ndikuvutika poti pano pandilibe munda olima ndimalimabe kuja kumu.
Meanwhile, Attorney General Thabo Chakaka Nyelenda says his office is yet to receive the notice from the lawyers. Youth Voice Society, in partnership with Southern Africa Litigation Center, is implementing a project aimed at the empowering of rural women in Southern Africa. For Zodiac, I am Vanan Nyirenda.
The country's agriculture research think tank, Mwapata Institute, says youth participation in agriculture has declined by at least 7% in the country over the past 2 decades. A report issued today titled Prospects and Barriers to Youth Engagement in Agriculture and Food Systems in Malawi indicates that in 2010, youth participation in agriculture was at 83%, but now the numbers have gone down to 73% by 2024. Here's John Kayuni with more.
The report issued today by Mwapata Institute has revealed dwindling numbers of youth participation in agriculture. In 2010, the report says 83% of youths were participating in agriculture, but the number has gone down by 7 points to 76%. William Chadza is Mwapata Institute Executive Director. He says there is need to make agricultural activities attractive to young people.
And also we noted that although we have a relatively conducive policy environment, but I think there are challenges when it comes to implementation, especially specific strategies which would guide what ought to be done in order to support the youth engagement in agriculture.
Mwapata Institute conducted the research on request from National Youth Council of Malawi, NICOM. NICOM Executive Director Rex Chapota told us they will implement the recommendations to increase the number of youth participation in agriculture.
Indeed, the research has shown that there is a decline in terms of young people involved in agriculture over the years. And one thing that we can decipher from this study is that indeed young people are not being attracted to agriculture because they feel it's not as profitable as they would want it to be. Therefore, the results in this case is giving us an impetus to start engaging in a very rigorous manner to all stakeholders that are involved in ensuring that young people can be involved in agriculture.
Agriculture remains Malawi's mainstay, but the majority of youth participating in agriculture are in subsistence farming, according to the report. This is John Paul Kayuni for Zodiac.
You're watching the news on Zodiac with me, Robert Kalua. We'll be back with more soon after this.
Nkhani Education Facility wishes to inform the general public that registration for Term 1 of 2024-2025 academic year is in progress. Places are available from Nursery 1 to Primary 7 and Form 1 to Form 4 in the following campuses: Nkhani Education Facility Primary and Secondary School, Mzuzu Campus, call 0991-453-312. John Derby Primary in Karonga, call 0995-027-330. Silver Heights Primary at Ikwendeni, call 0883-352-509. Ezulini Primary in Mzimba, call 0998-872-800. And Think Big Primary in Kasungu, call 0884-368-242. First term of 2024-2025 academic year opens on 16 September 2024. Nkhani schools are the best centers of excellence in Malawi. We prepare a child in all areas: intellectually, spiritually, morally, and physically. The school has 100% pass rate, the state-of-the-art classrooms, well-equipped laboratories, and library facilities. Nkhani Education Facility. Play, explore, discover, and know the world.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, through Department of Accountant General, would like to notify the general public and all government suppliers of goods and services that it has changed the design of the Proof of Payment (POP) for payments that are processed through the Integrated Financial Management Information System (IFMIS). The change, which came into effect from 9th July 2024, follows enhancements which have been made in the IFMIS with a view to improve on-payment efficiency and the broader aspect of public financial management in government. The old POP will continue being in use until 31 October 2024, but only for payments which were made before 9th July 2024. The general public and all government suppliers are therefore called upon to take note of the change.
Wow, your roof timber trusses look amazing. What's your secret?
I only use the best anti-termite products on my timber. I trust Sheldrite Anti-Termite to keep them looking pristine. Sheldrite has a special formula that provides deep nourishment to the wood, protecting it from termites and other wood-boring insects. And the best part? It lasts longer than other brands, and it is also available in a colorless variant. See this? With Sheldrite, the liquid penetrates deep into the wood, but with this other brand, it barely covers the surface. Don't settle for cheap products. Choose Sheldrite. It's the premium choice. Sheldrite, the very best.
There's no disappointment in heaven.
Kodi mukulingalira zowamangira chiriza okondedwa malemu abale wanu? Kampani yanu ija yotsogola ya Tile Masters ili pano kukuthandizani. A Tile Masters amapanga ziliza za granite, za matiles komanso za terazo zolimba, zapamwamba komanso zokongola pa mtengo ochipa. A Tile Masters itu amakafika pena paliponse m'Malawi muno komanso lay-by amalola. Onetsani chikondi chanu komanso ulemu wanu omaliza kwa abale ndi anansi omwe anatisiya. Apezeni A Tile Masters lero kuti akakupangireni ziliza zamakono. Musabetse ndalama zanu kwa atambwali omwe angoti mbwe mtauniwa komanso pa social media. Tawayimbirani foni A Tile Masters lero. Telefone 0999 206 701 kapena 0880 974 949. Kapena apezeni pa tsamba la Facebook la Tile Masters Malawi. Our departed loved ones deserve honor. Let's honor them. Tile Masters, trusted since 2003.
Sing glory around the white throne.
As a parent, the most important decision you will ever make for your child is selecting the right school where you can see your child develop in all spheres of their life. New Horizon Christian Learning Center is the best place for your child's nursery education in Lilongwe. New Horizon Christian Learning Center offers both nursery school and daycare and accepts all children. New Horizon Christian School is committed to helping young minds grow and develop in all aspects of their lives. Our comprehensive Cambridge curriculum is child-driven and play-based. In addition, we have small pupil-teacher ratio with very neat environment. New Horizon Christian Learning Center is situated in Area 49, Sector 1, as you go toward MHC houses from Best Oil Filling Station, and has reasonable fees and have a well-rounded educational experience, both indoors and outdoors. New Horizon Christian Learning Center is committed to offering quality care through our clean, safe, and secure environment. Let us help you start raising your child for the incredible journey to become an all-rounder. Call us now on 0883 832 538 or 0993 832 538. You can also find us on our Facebook page, New Horizon Christian Learning Center, the best nursery school for child's nursery education in Lilongwe.
Welcome back. Let's have a look at the headlines. Moving on, Chief Justice Rezin Mzikamanda has warned those who vandalize electricity infrastructure that the courts will show no leniency to them once found guilty. Speaking during a sensitization workshop in Blantyre on the new Electricity Act, the Chief Justice said, unlike the old Electricity Act, which was having some limitations, the new Act has provided for both huge fines and harsh custodial sentences to offenders. We have a report by Elijah Pompo.
Chief Justice Rezin Nzikamanda says the Electricity Amendment Act of 2024, which President Dr. Lazarus Chakwera assented in June this year, has empowered the judiciary to hand tough punishments to those that will be found guilty of vandalizing the electricity equipment.
This is an important development in our laws, that we now have a new law which talks about enhanced sentences in trying to curb vandalism and theft of electricity in the country. As you know, that this has been a major problem for some time now.
On his part, Chief Executive Officer for ESCO Mukankwamba Kumwenda has bemoaned that the vandalism of electricity equipment is costing the power utility body billions.
Vandalism is one of the vices that is setting us back, especially on transformers and the conductors. So when our infrastructure is vandalized, it's not only the cost of the replacement, but the lost revenue for ESCOM and also lost revenue in terms of business communities.
Commissioner of Police for the Southwest Region, No Kaira, says the enhanced fines and penalties for those found guilty of vandalizing electricity equipment have empowered the law enforcers in the country to persecute more of such cases. Among others, the new Electricity Amendment Act of 2024 has imposed a 30 years custodial sentence with no option for a fine to those found guilty of vandalizing ESCOM equipment, unlike in the old act, whereby offenders were being sentenced a maximum of 10 years imprisonment with an option of a fine of 5 million kwacha.
The Tobacco Commission says as of Friday, it has issued licenses to prospect tobacco growers of 60.2 million kilograms, an increased volume estimate for next season compared to 21.7 million kilograms same time last year. The spokesperson to the Forest Igwenembe said this morning that the latest volumes are from 12,778 licenses. We have a report by Blessings Kangono.
The Tobacco Commission says the licensed volumes are triple the volumes the Commission licensed by the same period last year. Its spokesperson, Telfas Igwenembe, has told us that by August 2 last year, they had licensed 21.7 million kilograms from 4,913 licenses issued. He said at the moment, the country is pushing to increase annual tobacco production to 200 million kilograms by 2028.
If we encourage increased production, it means we'll be able to satisfy the trade demand. While we are doing that, we would like to continue working towards creating an environment that allows a number of new players to come to join our tobacco industry, because there will be a healthy competition for our crop and prices will be good, farmers will be rewarded accordingly.
Meanwhile, President for the Tama Farmers Trust, Abe Kalimabanda, is upbeat that many growers will get the licenses before the exercise closes end next month.
By the end of this exercise, in September end, I think you will achieve whatever is needed by the customer out there. This is the first time by this month to register 50 million kilograms. It has never happened before. I'm sure this is so because of the good prices we received this season. Many farmers are flocking to the Tobacco Commission's offices for registration.
In the 2023-2024 farming and selling season, the trade demand for Malawi's tobacco was 190 million kilograms, but below 140 million kilograms has been sold, according to the Tobacco Commission.
The Legal Aid Bureau says it has been hit by a shortage of lawyers, with only 48 available against a backlog of around 25,000 cases, a development that is negatively affecting its legal mandate of representing the poor in the courts of law. While Director for the Bureau, Trabo Kalua, says this is unfortunate as it means the less privileged and the poor have limited access to justice as provided for in the Constitution. Dixon Chivatgondo has more.
Director for the Legal Aid Bureau, Trabo Kalua, says the demand of people looking for their services is not corresponding with the number of lawyers they have, which is compromising their service delivery. Kalua has called for more support to complement their core objective of providing legal aid services to poor Malawians.
The number of lawyers that are getting licensed is around 600, 700 or so. So if each one gets a file or even two files, you'll be talking of maybe 1,000 or 1,500 cases at most. But our numbers are at 25,000. So it's a drop in the ocean.
Chairperson for the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, Mark Bodoman, has pledged to take up the matter to responsible authorities.
This is a public institution which is supposed to assist them. Unfortunately, their activities are being hampered by lack of funds. But our drive is to make sure that we meet the Secretary of the Treasury, whom we will be meeting in a few weeks' time for also many other issues, and we'll put it across to him that he should understand the seriousness of this matter and be able to support the Legal Aid Bureau.
The Legal Aid Bureau was established under Section 3 of the Legal Aid Act of 2011, and it has a primary mandate to provide legal aid services to the indigent and vulnerable people in need of legal services. Dixon Chivwati Gondwe, Zodiac News, Lilongwe.
Disability rights organizations have cautioned government to tread carefully on its decision to scrap off some non-productive farmers in the year's Affordable Farm Inputs AIP program. Program's manager for Malawi Union of the Blind, Latimu Matenje, says the move may see deserving persons with disabilities being scrapped off the program because of their disability. We have a report by Elijah Pompo.
Programs manager for the Malawi Union of the Blind, MUB, Latimu Matenje, says it is not all persons with disabilities who lack the ability to farm. Matenje has since disclosed that the grouping will engage a consortium of organizations advocating for the rights of the elderly and Malawi Network for Older Persons organizations, MANEPO, to seek redress from the government on the matter.
Go out. The best way is to remove people based on merit. That would be sounding off because we say installment ability is not inactivity, and this is even the UARPT which Malawi government has signed.
Meanwhile, Minister of Agriculture Sam Kawale has reiterated that the move seeks to make Malawi a fully commercialized agricultural nation with a surplus crop productivity for both domestic and export use. Government, apart from seeking to graduate some non-productive farmers, namely the elderly and persons with disabilities, to its other social protection programs such as the social cash transfer, those with ability to farm but have no access to farmland will be graduated to the government's public works enhancement program. The move will see a total of 1 million people in the country benefiting from the Affordable Input Program, a drop from last year's 1.5 million.
And that's about what we had time for in this edition of news. Before we leave you, a recap of the headline stories. Health authorities admit that Malawi is still underperforming in the fight against malaria. Vice President Michael Usi says political interference